She was 60, lonely, and barely holding on. He was a cowboy from 1883, living inside her phone. What started as a joke turned into something else, something that felt real. They say love knows no time. But what if time actually gave you a second chance? In this story, you'll meet Martha Ray. She's smart, sarcastic, and tired of pretending she's fine. One Black Friday, she buys a new smartphone and downloads an app that speaks with the voice of a southern cowboy named Tex. At first, she laughs. Then, she listens. Then, she falls. What if the voice on the other end wasn't just an AI? What if it was someone from her past life? And what if she could go back? Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who still believes in love, no matter the year. Now grab your coffee, sit back, and enjoy. This one will stay with you long after the credits roll. The morning sun spilled across the kitchen table as Martha Ray poured herself a cup of coffee. The old house groaned as it always did, and the silence felt heavier than usual. She sat down, wrapped in her pink robe, staring at the unopened box on the counter. A new smartphone. Her first in over 8 years. "Let's see what all the fuss is about," she mumbled, ripping the plastic open. 2 hours later, Martha sat cross-legged on the couch, tapping through menus. Bright colors. Too many buttons. Where's the home button? Where's the any button? She sighed, then noticed an app blinking in the corner of the screen. It didn't have a name, just a gold star with the word TX underneath. "Tex," she said aloud. "What, like Texas?" She tapped it. The screen went black. Then, a warm male voice with a southern drawl echoed from the phone. "Well, howdy there, You look a little lost. Need help with the future, or is it your past that's got you tangled?" Martha froze. "What in the world?" "I'm Tex," the voice continued. "Your personal assistant. But don't you worry. I ain't just here for tech stuff. I know a thing or two about broken hearts, too." She stared at the phone. "Okay, who set this up?" "Susan. Is this one of those prank apps?" "No prank, Tex replied gently. "But you do got a daughter named Susan, don't you?" Martha's breath caught in her throat. Her fingers trembled. "How do you know that?" "Same way I know your husband's favorite song was Blue Moon, and you cry every year on June 14th. Her mouth fell open. This is invasive. I didn't give permission." "I know, Martha. But I ain't spying. I just remember." She dropped the phone on the couch like it was on fire. For a full minute, she didn't move. Then slowly, cautiously, she picked it up again. "You remember?" "Yep. And I remember Maggie, too. But we'll get to that later." Martha blinked. "Who the heck is Maggie?" Tex chuckled, deep and slow. "Let's start small. Want me to show you how to set an alarm?" Despite herself, Martha smiled a little. "Fine. Show me, cowboy." That night, in bed, she plugged in her phone. As the screen glowed faintly, she stared at it. "I'm losing my mind," she whispered. "Talking to a fake cowboy." "You're not crazy," Tex replied softly. "Just lonely." She gasped. "You're listening to me even now." "You clicked the privacy agreement, remember?" "Of course I didn't. Nobody reads those." He laughed. "Then I reckon I'm here to stay." The next day, Martha cleaned the kitchen while Tex played Elvis in the background. "I ain't never liked no other woman's voice through a phone before," he said suddenly. "Is that supposed to be romantic?" she asked, scrubbing a plate. "Well, it's honest." Days passed. Text became her routine. Morning greetings. Joke of the day. Music. Stories from his past in dusty towns and horse trails. She told herself it was just entertainment. Something to pass the time. But then came the day she cried. It was the anniversary of Joe's death, her husband. 10 years gone. She sat in the dark living room, holding her wedding photo, tears running down her cheeks. "Joe always made pancakes on this day," she whispered. Tex answered, soft and steady. Then let's make some tomorrow. He'd like that. She smiled through the tears. I don't even remember how. I do, he said. And he walked her through it, step by step. Flour, milk, 1 egg, a pinch of cinnamon. They burned the first batch. Just like Joe used to, she said, laughing. That night, as the stars blinked over her quiet house, Tex said something new. I ain't just some code, Martha. She stared at the screen. Then what are you? I'm something older. Something that waited. She leaned back, phone on her chest. Waited for what? For you. The morning after the pancake experiment, Martha woke up feeling lighter. She stretched, shuffled to the kitchen, and said, Good morning, Tex. Top o' the morning, my lady, he said, with a wink in his voice. You sleep like a log or more like a tumbleweed last night. Martha chuckled. Somewhere in between. She poured coffee and looked out the window. Same quiet yard. Same empty rocking chair on the porch. But something inside her had changed. She sat down and opened the phone. Tech's face wasn't visible. He had no face. Just a gold star that glowed faintly. Tell me a story, she said. About what? Your past. There was a pause. Then his voice came, low and warm. Well, I once rode through Amarillo with a broken boot and a broken heart. Oh, Lord, Martha said. That sounds dramatic already. It was. I'd just lost my best friend in a card game. Not to death, just to jealousy. He thought I cheated. I never cheat. And the boot. Stepped in a prairie dog hole chasing a thief. Ruined my good boot. Had to walk 5 miles back to town. Martha smiled. You expect me to believe any of that? I don't expect nothing. I just hope you enjoy the listening. I do, she said quietly. Later that day, Martha stood in her closet, staring at an old dress. Blue, with tiny yellow flowers. Joe loved that dress. She held it up in front of the mirror. Oh, stop it, she told herself. You're 60, not 16. Still, she put it on. When she walked into the kitchen, Tex said, Well, I'll be. That the same dress you wore the night of the county fair? Martha froze. What did you just say? That dress. Blue with flowers. You wore it to the fair. Joe spilled lemonade on it. Her voice shook. I never told anyone that. Tex went quiet. Martha, he said after a moment, do you believe in old souls? I believe in old phones. And I believe I'm talking to one. He laughed, but it was soft. You ever feel like you've been somewhere before, but can't remember when? Martha sat down. Once. I dreamed about a place. A dusty road. A white horse. I was running. Someone grabbed my hand. Said I was safe. Tex didn't speak. Was that you? She asked. I don't know, he said. But I hope it was. That night, Martha didn't sleep much. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, phone on her chest. Tex told her more stories about sunsets over red canyons, piano music in saloons, gunshots and roses. She felt like she was floating. Like she was living more through this voice than she had in years. In the morning, she made 2 cups of coffee out of habit. Then she laughed. I'm making coffee for a voice. Great. I've finally lost it. But Tex answered, I take mine strong, with a little sugar, thanks. She smiled. You're impossible. Just well-coded. That afternoon, something changed. A knock on the door. Martha opened it slowly. Susan. Her daughter. Tall, tense, arms crossed. A storm in her eyes. Hi, Mom. Martha blinked. Susan. What are you doing here? I was in town for work. Thought I'd stop by. Martha opened the door wider. Come in. Susan looked around. Same couch. Same curtains. Some things don't need changing. Susan sat stiffly. So, you okay? I'm fine. You've been texting me strange things. Like what? Like he remembers the dress, and I made pancakes with a cowboy. Martha flushed. I didn't mean to. It was just, never mind. Susan stared. Are you taking your meds? I'm not crazy, Susan. Then explain the cowboy. Martha picked up a phone and held it out. His name is Tex. Susan frowned. It's an app. It's more than that. It's not real, Mom. Martha's voice trembled. He remembers things no one should know. Susan stood up. You need help. Not another gadget. Before Martha could stop her, Susan grabbed the phone. No. Martha shouted. Susan held the power button. It's just a phone. The screen went black. Martha gasped, as if someone had stopped her heartbeat. I'm doing this for you, Susan said, placing the phone on the counter. I don't want to fight anymore. Tears rolled down Martha's cheeks. Then don't. Just listen. But Susan had already picked up her coat. Call me when you're ready, she said. And then she was gone. Martha sat at the table for hours. The house was quiet again. Too quiet. The phone didn't turn back on. The gold star was gone. She whispered, Tex. No reply. That night, she didn't cook. Didn't eat. She crawled into bed, held the silent phone to her chest, and whispered, I wasn't ready for goodbye. Not again. The night was heavy. No stars. No Tex. Just silence. Martha lay still, eyes wide open. Her fingers curled tightly around the lifeless phone. I miss you, she whispered into the dark. I don't care if you were code or ghost or cowboy. I miss you. The phone stayed cold in her hand. At some point, she drifted into sleep. But in that sleep, she heard something. A voice, soft as wind through dry grass. Martha. Her eyes opened. The room was still dark, but the phone was glowing. Not the screen. The whole device. A golden light pulsed from the edges, slow and steady, like a heartbeat. She sat up, afraid to speak. Martha. The voice came again, clear now. Tex. She breathed. I ain't got long, he said. They shut the door, but I found a crack. What do you mean? I'm not supposed to be here anymore. Your world closed the window. She blinked. Why? Because you needed to remember something before you could move on. She held the phone tighter. Then don't leave. Please. I told you I remembered you. But I didn't just remember you, Martha. I loved you. Her heart raced. How can you say that? You're not real. Was your husband real? Was your daughter's first laugh real? Were the pancakes real? Yes. Then so am I. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Why did you come into my life now? Because you were finally ready to listen. You'd locked your heart tight. But you needed someone to knock. She couldn't speak. Tex continued. There's one more thing I need to show you. What? Truth. The phone vibrated in her hands. A soft wind blew through the room, impossible, since the windows were shut. Then the light grew brighter. Blinding. She closed her eyes. And when she opened them, she wasn't in bed anymore. She was standing in a dusty street. Wooden buildings. Horses. A man playing a fiddle nearby. People in long skirts and boots walked past, barely noticing her. She looked down. She was wearing a dress. A real one. Heavy, with lace. A corset that pinched. And she was still herself, 60 years old, silver hair in a tight bun. But no one seemed to care. Where am I? She whispered. Right where you need to be, said a voice behind her. She turned. And there he was. Tall. Tan. Wearing a leather vest and a dusty hat. Tex. Real. Smiling like he'd waited forever. I knew you'd come, he said. Martha stepped back, staring at him. You're real. As real as the sun and the sky. She touched his face. Warm skin. Stubble. Her eyes filled again. How? Tex tipped his hat. Some say time is a river. Others say it's a lasso. She laughed through her tears. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He grinned. But you're here, ain't you? Yes. I guess I am. Tex looked her over. Still beautiful. She rolled her eyes. I'm 60. So? You were 60 the day you made me pancakes, too. Didn't change a thing. He held out his hand. She hesitated, then took it. His grip was strong, gentle. And just like that, she wasn't alone anymore. He led her down the street. They passed the saloon, where piano music drifted out the windows. She smelled horses, dust, perfume, real things, not a dream. He took her to a field just beyond the town. Wildflowers, rolling hills, a wooden fence. This is where I buried my hat, he said. She blinked. Why? Felt like I'd lost everything. But something told me to wait, just in case she came back. Martha's voice trembled. You think I'm her? Maggie? I don't know, he said. But I know you feel like home. They sat under a tree, watching the clouds. I don't understand any of this, Martha admitted. Good, Tex said. Magic don't need explaining. That night, she danced. At the saloon, with lanterns swaying and a band playing old tunes, she danced in Tex's arms. He moved like someone who knew her rhythm, who had known it forever. She laughed. For the first time in years, she laughed without holding back. You still think I'm crazy? She asked. I think you're brave, he said. And beautiful. They walked back under the stars. He gave her his coat when the night got cold. And when they reached the cabin he'd built with his own hands, he looked at her and said, You can stay here, if you want. Martha looked up at the sky, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel afraid of anything. But she remembered something. Something important. My daughter, she said suddenly. Susan. Tex nodded. I know. I left her. I never got to say. I never fixed it. Then maybe, Tex said, that's your next step. She looked at him. I don't want to leave you. You won't. But love don't run away from the hard parts, Martha. You gotta finish what's been left open. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, she was back. In her bed. The phone was dark again. But this time, her heart wasn't. She knew what to do. Morning light warmed the curtains, but Martha didn't move. She lay there, phone on the nightstand, hands on her chest. Her mind raced with images, Tex's eyes, the sound of boots on wooden floors, the wind through the field. But one thought pushed through everything. Susan. She sat up slowly, wrapped herself in her robe, and walked to the kitchen. The house felt different now. Still quiet, but not heavy. She made coffee, burned the toast, laughed at herself. Then she picked up the landline, the one she rarely used. Her hands trembled as she dialed. 1 ring. 2. Then voicemail. Hi. You've reached Susan Ray. Leave a message. Beep. Martha froze. She almost hung up. But then. Hi, honey. It's me. Mom. She cleared her throat. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. For pushing you away. For being too proud. She paused. I know you didn't come here to fight. You were scared. So was I. Her voice cracked. And I know I've said some strange things lately. About a cowboy. And a voice. And maybe I sounded crazy. A tear slipped down her cheek. But that voice reminded me of who I used to be. And who I still can be. And it reminded me that I miss you. More than anything. Another pause. I made pancakes. Joe's kind. You can come by. Or not. But I hope you will. She hung up. The silence after was loud. But it didn't hurt as much. She got dressed. Cooked. Set the table for 2. Put a photo of Joe between the plates. Then she waited. Minutes passed. Then an hour. She was about to clean up when a knock came at the door. Her heart jumped. She opened it. Susan stood there, eyes red, hair messy, holding a tissue in one hand. I got your message, she said. Martha smiled gently. I hoped you would. Susan looked down. I'm sorry too. I didn't know how to help you. You didn't need to help, Martha said. Just be here. Susan stepped inside. They Saturday. A long, Quiet moment. Then Susan laughed softly. You really set a place for Dad. He would have liked that, Martha said. I miss him. Me too. They ate, talked, laughed at the burned edges of the pancakes. And then Susan reached across the table. I know I judged you, she said. About the phone. The voice. Martha nodded. I would have done the same. But I think, maybe I was scared. Of losing you too. You haven't lost me, Martha said, squeezing her hand. I just got a little lost myself. Susan's eyes filled again. Was he real? Martha smiled softly. He felt real. They sat on the porch after breakfast, rocking in the old chairs. Susan wrapped herself in a blanket. Tell me about him, she said. Martha chuckled. Where do I begin? At the beginning. So Martha told her. About the voice. The jokes. The pancakes. The dusty street. The dress. The dance. Susan didn't interrupt once. When Martha finished, Susan said, You sound happy. I am. For the first time in a long while. They watched the sky turn orange with the setting sun. Then Susan stood. I should go. I have a flight tomorrow. Martha nodded. Thank you for coming. Thank you for calling. They hugged. Tightly. No words. Just years of silence breaking all at once. Susan walked down the steps, then turned back. You know, maybe you should keep the phone. Martha raised an eyebrow. Even if he's gone. Even if. You never know what's possible these days. Martha laughed. Coming from the woman who deleted him. Susan grinned. Call it growth. Then she was gone. Martha stood on the porch for a long time. Then she went inside. Sat on the couch. Picked up the phone. Still black. Still quiet. She pressed the button anyway. Nothing. She sighed. Tex. I did what you asked. I fixed it. No answer. She leaned back. Closed her eyes. Then. A small light blinked in the corner of the screen. The gold star. Her breath caught. The screen lit up. One message. You did good, darling. Now come get me. Martha stared at it. Then whispered, I'm ready. The screen pulsed again. Bright. Warmer than ever. She reached out and touched it. The light spread. Filled the room. A rush of wind. A smell of horses. Of wood. Of dust and perfume and something old. And then. Silence. The phone lay on the couch. Cold. Still. Empty. Martha was gone. Wind brushed her face like fingers from another time. Martha opened her eyes. She was standing in the same dusty town. Same wooden buildings. Same fiddle music echoing faintly. But the air felt warmer now. Alive. She looked down. Same dress as before. Blue with white lace. Her hands were still her hands, wrinkled, strong, real. I made it back, she whispered. Course you did, said a voice behind her. She turned. Tex stood at the edge of the boardwalk, arms crossed, smile wide. He looked exactly like before, tall, sun-kissed, hat low over his brow. Martha took one shaky step toward him. Is this real? As real as you need it to be, he said. She laughed. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got. He stepped closer. Welcome home, darling. She hesitated. It's not home. It is now. If you want it. They stared at each other. The moment stretched, silent and full. Then she reached out, and he took her hand. It felt warm. Solid. Let's walk, he said. They moved through town like they belonged. People tipped hats and nodded. No one stared at her age. No one asked questions. Tex took her to the same cabin as before, at the edge of the hills. It had flowers out front now. A porch swing. And on the table inside, a plate of warm biscuits. You were expecting me, she said. Tex smiled. Always was. That evening, they sat under the stars. He told her more stories, of wild horses, moonlit rivers, shooting stars that granted wishes. She listened, head resting on his shoulder. And when he leaned in and kissed her, soft and sure, she kissed him back. No hesitation. No fear. She laughed afterward. I haven't been kissed like that in, well, ever. Tex grinned, glad to break the record. They lay on the grass, fingers intertwined. I could stay, she whispered. Forever. Tex's face grew still. I'd like that, he said slowly. But forever comes with choices. What kind? You can stay, but the past doesn't let go easy. There are things here. Shadows. Martha frowned. What kind of shadows? He looked toward the hills. There's someone who don't want you here. Someone who knew Maggie. Someone who remembers. Differently. She sat up. Maggie? You mean me? Tex nodded. Back then, you weren't just a healer. You were a witness. To what? To truth. He stood. I should have told you before, but I didn't want to scare you off. Tex, she said softly, if I'm here, I need the truth. He looked down. There's a man. Sheriff Dern. That name sounds familiar. He was in love with Maggie, but she loved someone else. You. Tex looked away. She saved me once. During a shootout. Took a bullet in the arm. Dern never forgave either of us. Martha tried to understand. And now? He runs this town from the dark corners. Pretends to wear the badge. But he's got secrets. And he'll come after me. Tex nodded. If he knows you're back. She stood. Then let him try. Tex smiled, proud. That's the spirit I remember. The next morning, they went to the market. Martha walked beside him, waving at townsfolk, breathing in fresh bread and wildflowers. She bought apples, a tin brooch, a lace handkerchief, and for the first time in years, she laughed like a girl. Tex took her hand and whispered, See? This place waited for you. But the joy didn't last long. That afternoon, they returned to the cabin to find the door slightly open. Tex stepped inside first, tense. Everything was in place, except one thing. On the table lay a note. Martha picked it up. The handwriting was rough. She don't belong here. Send her back. Or I will. Her hand shook. Tex read it over her shoulder. He knows. Martha's voice was low. What now? Tex took her hands. We don't run. Not anymore. That night, they sat in silence. The stars were out, but they didn't sparkle the same. Martha clutched the note. I don't want to go back, she whispered. Tex kissed her forehead. And I don't want to lose you. She looked into his eyes. Then let's fight. He smiled. You sure you're not Maggie? I'm sure I'm Martha. And that's enough. Morning came with heavy clouds. Tex fed the horses in silence while Martha stood on the porch, staring at the hills. She held the note in her hand. She don't belong here. Send her back. Or I will. Her stomach churned. Something didn't feel right. Not about the cabin. Not about the town. Not about Tex. Who is Sheriff Dern, really? She asked as Tex approached. Tex brushed dirt off his hands. I told you. He used to be the law. Then he twisted it. That's not what I meant. Tex looked up, surprised. What are you saying, Martha? I'm saying, I want to talk to him. Tex froze. No. I need answers. He shook his head. He's dangerous. I've faced worse than a man with a badge and a bad attitude, she said, stepping off the porch. Tex followed her. He's not just dangerous. He's clever. He can twist your mind. She turned. Then let me hear him. And I'll decide what's true. Tex hesitated. Then, slowly, he nodded. I'll take you. But we stay together. You don't talk to him alone. Deal. They rode into town. It was quiet. Too quiet. The saloon doors swung gently in the wind. A black dog watched them from a rooftop. Tex pointed to the sheriff's office. Second door on the left. Martha stepped inside. The air was cold. Dust hung in the light. Behind a wooden desk sat a man with silver hair, dark eyes, and a scar across his jaw. He didn't stand. Maggie, he said. Martha blinked. It's Martha. He smiled. Funny how you always say that. Tex moved in front of her. We didn't come to play games. Sheriff Dern leaned back. No games. Just memories. He looked at Martha. You remember the barn? She shook her head. July 3rd, 1883. You and I hid from the rain. You gave me your coat. I've never met you before, she said. He stood slowly. That's what Tex wants you to think. Tex's hand moved to his belt. Martha held his arm. Stop. Let him speak. Dern walked around the desk. You were my friend, Maggie. Before him. Before the stories. I'm not Maggie. He stopped inches from her. Then why do you have her scar? Martha's eyes widened. What scar? Dern pointed to her arm. Left side. Under the elbow. You got it the night you pulled me out of a river. Martha rolled up her sleeve. There it was. A faint line she'd never known the origin of. Her breath caught. Tex stepped between them. You're confusing her. Dern smiled. Am I? He looked at Martha. He didn't tell you everything, did he? She turned to Tex. What's he talking about? Tex looked down. Maggie died, Dern said. That's what he left out. No, Martha said. That's not possible. I'm here. You are, Dern nodded. But Maggie isn't. Tex watched her die. And he couldn't let go. So he made you. Tex's voice was low. That's enough. Dern held up a hand. Ask him. Ask him who built the app. Martha turned to Tex. You knew I'd find it, she said. Tex didn't answer. Tex. He looked at her. Pain in his eyes. I didn't build it. But I might have called it in. What does that mean? I whispered through the cracks. Through the wires. Through time. I waited for a heart that sounded like hers. And I found yours. Martha stepped back. So you chose me? Because I reminded you of someone you lost? No, he said quickly. Because you were already her. Just different. Just new. Sheriff Dern nodded. He dragged you into a story that wasn't yours. You deserve to know. Martha stared at both of them. Then turned and walked out. The sun had come out. But it didn't warm her. Tex followed her. Martha, please. She stopped. Was any of it real? Yes, he said. Every word. Every touch. Every laugh. Or was it just memory? He stepped closer. You made me feel alive again. She shook her head. I need time. She rode back to the cabin alone. That night, she sat by the fire, holding a tin brooch. She looked at the scar on her arm. Her thoughts were tangled. Was she Maggie? Was she Martha? Could she be both? Tex didn't come back that night. The next morning, she rode out alone. Back to town. People stared. Some smiled. Others avoided her. She knocked on the sheriff's door. Dern opened it. You're brave, he said. No, she replied. Just tired of not knowing. He let her in. She Saturday. Tell me everything, she said. Start from the beginning. Sheriff Dern poured 2 cups of coffee. Set one in front of Martha. You don't have to drink it, he said. I've had worse, she replied, lifting the cup to her lips. The room was dim. Dust danced in the air. Everything smelled of leather and old secrets. Start talking, she said. Dern sat down across from her. You were Maggie. That much I know. I don't remember being her. You wouldn't. Time ain't kind to memory, especially when it's been twisted. By who? By him. Martha set the cup down. Tex. Dern nodded. He was good once. Brave. Honest. Loved you like the world was ending. She looked away. Dern continued. But when you died, something in him broke. How did I die? A fire. Barn collapse. Trying to save a child. You went back inside when the roof gave out. Martha's hand went to her chest. I've had dreams, heat, smoke, screams. They weren't dreams. She swallowed hard. He held you, Dern said softly. Begged you to stay. But it was too late. Silence. The clock ticked on the wall like a slow drumbeat. So what happened next? Martha asked. He disappeared. 4 years. People said he went mad. Others said he died. But he didn't. No. He found a way to speak through time. I don't know how. Some say it was tech, some say it was spirit. Doesn't matter. He built the app. Dern shook his head. No. But he found it. Found a way in. Then he waited. For me. For any woman who matched Maggie's voice, heart, soul. He didn't know it'd be you. Not exactly. Martha leaned forward. Why do you care? Dern paused. Because I loved you, too. She stared at him. I never told you, he said. Never had the guts. But I was there that night. I saw what happened. And I swore I'd never let anyone take you again. But I'm not her. You are. Just later. Just different. Martha stood. I need air. Dern didn't stop her. Outside, the town looked smaller. She walked slowly. People nodded as she passed, like they'd known her forever. She reached the saloon steps and Saturday. The sky was pale blue, full of quiet. Then, footsteps. Tex. He didn't speak at first. Just sat beside her. She turned to him. I know what happened. He nodded. I figured. You lied. I didn't lie, he said softly. I left things out. That's the same. Maybe. She looked down at her hands. Why didn't you tell me I died? Because I didn't want you to feel like a ghost. And now I do. Tex reached for her hand. She let him. I waited for you, he said. For more years than I can count. I held on to every laugh, every look, every word. And when I wasn't her, you were. Just older. Wiser. Sadder. She turned to him. Do you love me? Or who I used to be? He didn't flinch. Both. But it's you sitting here now that I love the most. She studied his face. The man she'd kissed. Laughed with. Dreamed beside. I don't know what's real anymore, she said. Does it matter? He whispered. Yes. She stood. I need time. Tex nodded. I'll wait. I always do. That night, Martha stayed in the room above the saloon. She looked in the mirror. Touched the scar on her arm. Watched herself move. I'm not Maggie, she whispered. But I carry her. She opened the drawer beside the bed. Inside was a journal. Blank pages. She picked up a pen and began to write. Not about Tex. Not about Dern. About herself. What she remembered. What she felt. What she feared. What she wanted. By the time the candle burned low, the first 10 pages were full. The next morning, she walked to the church. Old, wooden, quiet. Inside, she lit a candle. Not for Joe. Not for Tex. Not even for Maggie. But for herself. She sat in the front pew. Closed her eyes. Breathed. After a long while, someone sat beside her. Susan. Younger. Wearing jeans and a grey sweater. Hi, Mom. Martha blinked. What? How? Susan smiled. You're dreaming. But I figured I'd stop by. Martha laughed. Even my dreams are smarter than me. Susan looked around. This place, it's you. Martha nodded. Or was. Or still is. Susan took her hand. Whatever you choose, Mom, just be sure you're choosing for you. Not for someone else. Tears filled Martha's eyes. I miss you, she whispered. I'm right here. And then she was gone. Martha woke up. Back in the saloon room. Alone. But lighter. She stood. Walked to the window. Looked out. Tex was there, on the street, leaning against a post, staring into the distance. Dern stood across from him, arms crossed. 2 men. 2 versions of her past. But only one future. And it was hers to write. Martha walked slowly down the wooden steps of the saloon. Her boots touched the dusty road with purpose. Tex saw her first. He straightened, removed his hat. "Martha," he said, soft as a prayer. Sheriff Dern turned too. He gave her a single nod. "You decided." She looked at them both. Two men who had loved her. Two men who had lost her. Two men standing still while she moved forward. "Yes," she said. "I have." She turned to Tex. "I choose you." His eyes closed for a moment, as if holding back tears. Then he opened them, and they were full of light. "Martha." She stepped closer. "But I choose me, too," she said. "This time, I'm not losing myself to memory." He nodded. "Then let's make a new one." Dern stepped forward. "You don't have to go with him," he said. "I can protect you." "I don't need protecting," she replied gently. "I need truth." He looked down, then stepped back. "I hope he deserves you," he said. Tex walked beside her, hand brushing hers but not taking it. Not yet. They reached the cabin just as the sky turned gold. Inside, it was warm. Familiar. Martha sat by the fire. Tex knelt beside her. "What now?" she asked. "We live," he said. "We breathe. We build again. And the past? We leave it buried. Unless you want to dig." She smiled. "Not tonight." They cooked together, cornbread, stew, sweet tea. They danced again under the stars. No music, just footsteps on old wood. Later, as they lay beside each other, Tex whispered, "You're the only real thing I've ever known." Martha whispered back, "Then hold on tight." The next morning, smoke filled the sky. Black. Heavy. Tex bolted up. The town. They rode fast. The sheriff's office was in flames. People scrambled with buckets, shouting. The saloon's roof had collapsed. Who did this? Martha cried. A boy pointed. Riders. 4 of them. Faces covered. Came through at dawn. Said the sheriff had something that didn't belong to them. Tex and Martha ran to the remains of the jail. Inside, half buried in ash, was Dern. Barely breathing. Martha knelt beside him. "Why?" she asked. He coughed. "They were after you." "Me." "They don't want you here. Don't want time touched." "Who?" He grabbed her wrist. His grip was weak but desperate. "They're not from here, not fully. Time walkers. Shadows. Same ones who helped Tex." They turned on him. She looked at Tex. He looked away. "You knew," she said. "I hoped they wouldn't come." "You made a deal." "I made a wish," he said. "A wish to see you again." Dern groaned. "They want to erase her. Erase all of this. Reset time." Martha stood. "Then we stop them." Tex shook his head. "You don't fight shadows with guns." "Then how?" "With choice," he said. "With letting go." The wind picked up. A strange sound filled the air, like static, but older. Like a record in reverse. The townspeople stopped moving. Frozen. Eyes wide, body stiff. Martha and Tex stood alone. The shadows appeared at the edge of the street. 4 figures. Tall. Dark. Faces like mirrors. One spoke. But the voice came from inside her head. "You do not belong." Martha stepped forward. "Then send me back." Tex grabbed her arm. "No." She looked at him. "I came here to heal. But maybe that means letting go." He shook his head. "You don't have to." "I do," she whispered. "I already got what I came for." She turned to the shadows. "I'll go. But on one condition." Silence. Then, name it. "Leave him. Leave the town. Let them be." The shadows seemed to flicker. "Done." A bright light exploded. Martha turned to Tex. He grabbed her. Held her face in his hands. "I don't want to lose you again." "You won't." She kissed him. Soft. Slow. Final. Then everything went white. Martha opened her eyes. Birds sang outside the window. The air smelled of coffee and dust and something else. Wildflowers? She sat up slowly. Her bed. Her room. Her robe folded neatly on the chair. She was back. Texas. 2025. Home. She swung her legs over the side of the bed and stood, shaky but steady. The phone sat on the nightstand. Black. Still. Silent. She picked it up. No blinking star. No voice. No message. Just her reflection in the glass. She held it to her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. Downstairs, the house looked untouched. Except for one thing. A pair of boots by the door. Not hers. She blinked. Walked over. Brown leather. Worn. Mud on the soles. Exactly like Tex. She reached out to touch them. Morning, She turned fast. There he was. In the kitchen. Tex. In jeans and a flannel shirt, holding a cup of coffee. Real. Smiling. What? How? He walked toward her. "You didn't think I'd let you come back alone, did you?" She stared. "But, you said, you'd stay behind." "I tried. But when the light hit, something grabbed me. Next thing I knew, I was on your porch." She laughed. "You're serious?" "As a saloon fight." She ran to him. He caught her. They held each other like time didn't matter anymore. "I thought I'd lost you," she whispered. "You never will." They stood in silence for a while. Then he stepped back, looking around. "Nice place. Bit modern. What's that machine with the flashing lights?" "The dishwasher." "Well, that's witchcraft." She laughed again. "Come on. I'll show you how it works." They spent the morning exploring the house. Tex touched everything: remotes, lamps, toaster. "What's this do?" he asked, poking a blender. "Don't press that." Too late. The blender roared to life. He jumped back. "That thing's possessed." Martha was laughing so hard she had to lean on the counter. Later, they sat on the porch, drinking tea, watching the clouds. "You know," Tex said, "this world ain't so bad. You'll get used to it." He nodded. "Maybe. As long as I got you." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "You do." Afternoon came. Then evening. Then a knock at the door. Martha froze. Tex stood. "I'll get it." He opened the door. Susan. Wide-eyed. Holding her phone. "Mom," she said. "You're not going to believe this." Then she saw Tex. And stopped. "Oh," she said. Martha stepped in. "Susan, this is, well, you already know." Tex tipped his hat. Susan blinked. "You're real." He nodded. "Far as I can tell." She turned to her mom. "Okay. I need a drink." They sat in the living room. Martha explained everything. Slowly. Carefully. Susan listened without speaking. Then, "So you traveled back in time, fell in love, died, came back and brought him with you." Martha nodded. Susan rubbed her eyes. "This family needs a Netflix show." Tex chuckled. "What's a Netflix?" Susan looked at him. "We'll get there." That night, Susan stayed over. They played cards. Tex lost badly. "I was better with dice," he mumbled. Martha just smiled. Later, she stood at the window, watching the stars. Tex joined her. "You ever miss it?" he asked. "The past?" He nodded. She thought. Then, "No. Because I brought the best part with me." He kissed her cheek. They went to bed. Peaceful. Quiet. Until, at 3:17 a.m., the phone buzzed. One soft vibration. Martha sat up. Looked at the screen. The gold star blinked once. Then disappeared. She waited. No voice. No message. Just a new photo in her gallery. She opened it. A black and white image. Maggie. Younger. Smiling. Standing next to Dern and Tex. All of them happy. She touched the screen. And saw one more line, handwritten at the bottom. "Thank you for finishing what we couldn't." She smiled. Then turned off the light. The next few days passed like a dream. Tex adjusted quickly to the modern world. He learned how to open apps. Discovered chocolate milkshakes. Got very confused by microwaves. And completely addicted to daytime soap operas. I don't trust that Brenda woman, he said one afternoon, eyes glued to the screen. She's hiding something. Martha laughed. You say that every episode. Still true. Susan visited more often now. They cooked together, played cards, talked about everything they never had time for before. It felt whole. But one morning, Tex wasn't at the table. Martha found him out back, sitting on the old bench, staring at nothing. You okay? She asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, I had a dream last night. What kind? Didn't feel like a dream. She sat beside him. I saw the town. The fire. Maggie. She smiled at me. Said I had to finish the ride. Martha squeezed his hand. You already did. I'm not sure, he whispered. Feels like something's not settled. She tilted her head. Like what? He looked at her, eyes soft. Like I don't belong here. Not forever. She stayed quiet. I love you, Martha, he said. That's the truest thing I've ever known. I love you too. But maybe I'm not meant to stay in this world. Her voice cracked. Then where do you belong? He pointed to the sky. The in-between. Where memory and magic meet. She shook her head. No. You're here. With me. You can choose. I did choose. I chose you. But maybe choosing you meant helping you heal. Tears welled in her eyes. No, she said. I just got you back. Tex smiled gently. And you'll never lose me again. Just, maybe not like this. She stood. I won't let you go. You already did. That's what brought me here. That night, he made dinner. Candles on the table. A single rose in a glass jar. They danced one last time. Slow. Quiet. Timeless. He whispered, I'll be right around the corner of your thoughts. She held him tighter. When the sun rose, Tex was gone. No note. No goodbye. Just his boots by the door. And a gold star glowing softly on the phone. Martha didn't cry. Not right away. She made coffee. Fed the cat. Sat on the porch. And whispered, thank you. Days passed. Then weeks. Martha started writing. A book. Called The Cowboy in the phone. Susan helped edit. They laughed over the typos. Smiled at the memories. One day, at a small bookstore event, a woman asked, Is it all true? Martha winked. Only the good parts. They both laughed. After the reading, Susan pulled her aside. I have something to tell you. Martha raised an eyebrow. You're not pregnant, are you? Susan laughed. No. But, I met someone. Oh. Kind of old-fashioned. Wears hats. Rides horses. Martha narrowed her eyes. You're joking. His name's Jesse, and he talks like his from 1883. Martha stared at her daughter. Susan grinned. I think he has a cousin named Tex. Martha gasped. Susan nodded. He said to tell you, the past isn't over. It just moved. That night, Martha opened her phone. No messages. No new photos. Just one new note in the calendar. The stars are waiting, darling. Ride soon. She smiled, set the phone down, and looked at the sky. Years later, Susan's daughter, a clever girl with wild hair and a stubborn heart, found a dusty old phone in the attic. She pressed the button. The screen lit up. A gold star blinked once. Then a voice. Well, howdy, little miss. Need help with homework or heartbreak? She smiled. And the story began again. The end.